Hello, twisted humans.
Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting?
Then this is the podcast for you. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Sierra, and this is
Twisted and Uncorked. Welcome back, Twisted Humans, to round 2, or episode 35 of our special topic, Murders That Look as Though They Were Caused by Vampires episodes. Today is Sierra's week, and as you can see, the first episode release of October. If you're not watching this, again, a reminder to go check out our YouTube channel so you can see our super cute witchy makeup. Sierra's wearing a hat. She looks badass. She's in her element. So, and we got bats, we got ghosts. Come check it out, guys. But, yeah. Do you have a fun fact for me, Sierra?
I do. I have a witchy fact, actually. So, September, either 20th, 21st, or 22nd, every year, is a witchy holiday, of course. A pagan Wiccan holiday. And as of the 70s, it has been called Mabon or Mabon, and most witchcraft or Wiccan books will say Mabon or Mabon, M-A-B-O-N. However, the person who invented that name in the 70s was actually like a complete asshole. He completely broke his oath. He only made the name because he said he wanted that day to have a name. It never did in Wiccan religion. Like, it never needed a name. The day is the autumnal equinox, the autumn equinox, as we all know. But yeah, he just gave it a name because he felt like it. And also he was looking for a PhD. So he actually went and studied. He was getting a PhD in religion. He studied witchcraft and Wicca, and then he decided to join a Gardnerian coven, and afterwards he used everything he learned to update his PhD, even though he took an oath saying he would not give away any personal information. And he didn't just do this with the Wiccan religion, he joined another religion after that and also gave their secrets away. So that guy was a dick.
Not cool.
If you say Mabon or Mabon, please don't. Use autumnal equinox. I referred to it as harvest home. The first day of fall. Any of those things are good enough.
But nothing that represents that butt.
Yes.
No, that makes sense. My fun fact is about monks. So between the 11th and 19th centuries, a number of Buddhist monks successfully mummified themselves. They adopted a practice called soku shobitsu, which means they gradually weaned themselves off of food and water and essentially starved themselves to death over the course of 1,000 days. It's believed that by successfully mummifying themselves, that they would achieve true enlightenment after death.
That's ridiculous.
I would not mummify myself.
That takes a lot of, like, dedication because, like, your body doesn't let you die, you know?
I know.
Your body usually fights to survive.
I know. I hated it. But, you know, they were able to do it, so super cool.
Today we are drinking what's left of our Underwood wine. I already forgot. Rosetto bubbly.
And if you didn't listen to last week's episode to know what the hell that means, go do that now.
And I made a kind of a spooky sangria. It looks bloody. I don't want to call it bloody because that seems very
Ooh, yours turned out really well.
Thanks. Calling it bloody makes it seem a little insensitive since this topic is about deaths that looks like vampire deaths. But, I mean, it's spooky. It's great for a Halloween party, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're witchy today, guys. Not vampires. That's fine. Mine looks like a goblet of blood, rather. because Sierra gave me zero instruction on how to make this thing.
Yeah, I took it
upon myself to she's so good at this. Not so good with the sharing of what she wanted it to look like, though. So
you always make them so much earlier than me.
Look like hers, but I put my mix inside of my drink, which Sierra will get to the ingredients in a second. So mine has cherry jello mix in it. But it's very good.
I don't understand how it's not hard and jello-y, but anyway, so the rim here is the cherry jello powder
that you should not put inside your drink.
Well, I did put a little bit in it, but definitely not like all of it. I put a little bit in it to give it the red color.
Yes.
But otherwise, it goes on the rim. And inside is the rosé, lime juice, and just a little bit of mix to give it a red color, and then a little bit of the maraschino cherry juice with maraschino cherries inside. Mm-hmm. And this one is extremely sweet.
Yes.
I would suggest I used a lime juice like base that I already, had. It's just like sweetened lime juice. I would suggest using like raw, like
lime
squeezed lime juice. Yes, don't use the sweetened stuff because it's already way too sweet.
That's what I did for mine. I just did fresh lime juice instead. That's why you see a little lime floating in there.
Yeah.
Just because I know that it was already going to be sweet for me, but it's really good.
Are we ready for a spooky story?
Hell yeah. I know that yours
is
a little more gruesome than mine.
Yeah, this one's going to be actually spooky, and I apologize because there is no happy ending.
There is no happy ending?
There is no happy ending.
There was no happy ending last week either. It's fine.
Yeah, but it was kind of a goofy ending. This is a really sad ending.
Oh, okay. We balance each other out, guys.
I apologize. Okay. This is a vampire story, remember. On November 22nd, 1985, a Florida man caught sight of a young woman on the road as he drove by. She was naked, other than a towel, with her wrists and ankles locked in handcuffs. She was extremely pale and weak and was crawling down the road.
Oh, no.
When the Florida man stopped to ask if she needed help, she begged him not to take her back to that house as she pointed to the house she was crawling away from. The man took note of the house and brought the young teen in to get medical treatment. The doctors reported that she had lost nearly 45% of her blood, even though she had no noticeable wounds. And she would have died without a blood transfusion within hours if she hadn't been brought into the hospital when she was.
Oh, gosh.
The house that the teenage girl had been crawling away from belonged to John Brennan Crutchley. John was born on October 1st, 1946, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to parents who were described as, quote-unquote, well-to-do.
Okay.
Whatever that means. According to his own reports, John was abused emotionally and physically from a very young age. Just before John was conceived, an older sibling of his had passed away during an operation. His mother had apparently conceived to cope with this loss and was hoping to have another little girl to try and replace the one that she had lost. Instead, John was born. John says that his mother told him often that she didn't want him and that she had wanted a girl instead. And even before he was old enough to understand the words being said to him, his mother would dress John in baby girl clothes to pretend that John was the little girl she was hoping for. Oh. John also reported that his parents punished him much more harshly than his other siblings. He said he'd have his fingers burned with a hot iron or be beaten with a belt until he was unconscious if he acted up. I do have to mention, though, all of these accounts came from John himself after he was in prison. He had told a reporter who had come in to do an interview that he got a bad start from the beginning because he had abusive parents. His mother, Mildred Crutchley, said after this interview that John was a liar and he just wanted his story to be a little more interesting, so he made all of this up. I don't know.
There's no way to know, though, because an abusive parent would say that, too, so.
Yes. So one personality trait that seems to be corroborated is that John was a loner. He was often described as a friendless child. Not because he was like some creepy weirdo, but because he was extremely smart. He would rather tinker with electronics as a kid than play like tag or whatever.
Okay.
He was a nerd back when being a nerd was lame. So no one his age liked to hang around him much.
But now nerds are cool, guys.
Yes. In high school, John used his smarts to make money by repairing and rebuilding stereo systems and other electronic devices. After high school, he attended Defiance College in Ohio, where he received a bachelor's degree in physics. He married his first wife in 1969, and then he went on to earn his master's degree in engineering from George Washington University in Washington, D.C. Right after that, he divorced that wife.
Okay. And I'm done with you now.
Right. With his 2 degrees and advanced knowledge, John set out to find a job, but he never stayed anywhere for too long. His first job was working for General Motors in Defiance, Ohio, where he was installing security systems. From there, he asked for and received a transfer to Kokomo, Indiana, where the security systems were being designed. After being with the company for a few years, John left due to an investigation regarding missing equipment at the facility, and he moved to Fairfax County, Virginia. In Virginia, John worked for multiple quote-unquote high-tech firms at different times throughout the late 70s. Eventually, he married again, and he and his wife moved to Malabar, Florida together in 1983, where John got a job at Harris Corporation. Don't know what that was.
I didn't question it. I was like, maybe that's just where he works.
2 years later, the week of Thanksgiving in 1985, John's wife and son had gone out of town to visit family, leaving John home alone. And this teenage girl had just escaped from that home.
Oh, don't leave your teenage sons home alone.
Oh, he's not a teenager now. He's 39.
Oh.
He's 39. He has a wife and a child. His wife and child went out of town, and he stayed home to work.
Okay. I'm there.
When the police took a statement from the teen, she told them that the man who lived in that house, the man we now know as John Crutchley, had kidnapped her. She was originally from California and was hitchhiking through Florida when John offered her a ride. He said he'd take her in the direction she was going, but first he had to stop by his home and grab something for work that he had forgotten. When John arrived at his home, he invited the teen inside, and she said she'd just sit and wait in the car. John got in the back seat as if to grab something, and instead attacked her from behind. He had placed some sort of ligature around the teen's neck and strangled her until she passed out. When she awoke, she was in John's house, handcuffed and tied to his kitchen counter. All around her, bright lights were shining down on her, and a video camera was set up, pointed directly at her.
Ew.
Yes. For hours and all through the night, John recorded himself choking and raping this girl as she was tied up in his kitchen. He also recorded as he stuck a needle into the teen's veins, extracted her blood, and placed it into a drinking glass. He told the girl he was a vampire and he needed to drink her blood. This happened at least 3 times that she could remember.
How much blood, you know what? I don't think I researched this, and I don't know if you did, but how much blood can a human lose before they look?
I think after like a liter, you're supposed to get a transfusion.
Yeah.
Eventually, John needed to leave his house. He took the teen girl's weak body down from his kitchen countertop and placed her in his bathtub. He locked her in the bathroom and told her that if she tried to escape, he would have his brother come and kill her. As soon as John left, the teen girl took that risk. She pushed out of the bathroom window and made her way up to the road where she was found crawling. The police took this information seriously and made their way to John's home. A search warrant was issued and John was arrested. In the home, the authorities took many pictures of everything that they found suspicious. Some of those things included a stack of women's credit cards, a bundle of women's necklaces, discreetly hanging in his closet. However, even though these things were photographed, they wouldn't be taken into evidence until the second search, and by the time of that search, those items had disappeared. So police were never able to find out who they belonged to. Some of the evidence that was able to be collected by authorities included the videotape, though most of it was erased, and a stack of 72 index cards that stated names of women along with some sort of review on how well they performed in bed and what they liked. Are you kidding me?
No.
And also what took place during the sex.
That is not okay, sir.
In some cases, rape. Authorities had contacted most of the women, and their stories were quite interesting. Many of them claimed to be willing participants in John's strange sexual behaviors, even allowing him to drink their blood. Others said that it did start as consensual, either bondage or dominance type sex, but John liked to take it overboard. He would ignore safe words designated by his partners and rape them. But at least everyone that police could connect to John made it out alive. So this whole thing was still a scary situation. If he wasn't a murderer yet, he was surely going to escalate into that, and as it sat, police didn't have anything to hold him on. The teen girl didn't even want to press charges because she didn't want to face John again. She just wanted to get out of there, pretend none of this ever happened, and move on with her life. But that would mean that John Crutchley would walk.
That's tough.
While authorities attempted to convince the teen to press charges, investigators were looking into John Crutchley's background. Not only were there reports from his sexual partners about their encounters, there were videos as well. Even his current wife participated in the quote-unquote unusual sexual exploits. When the teen girl finally decided to press charges against John Crutchley, in hopes that he would never be able to do this to another girl again, John's wife spoke out against the teen, saying that this was a simple case of one of John's escapades gone wrong. She said it was a, quote, gentle rape, devoid of any overt brutality.
What the fuck does that mean?
That's what John's wife said about her husband kidnapping and raping a woman.
Not okay. Gentle rape does not make it okay.
Gentle and rape don't go together.
Yeah, they don't.
You can't use them together.
In fact,
okay?
I think they might be opposite adjectives. Correct me if I'm wrong.
This is an oxymoron.
True enough.
By this point, the FBI was involved, since one of the charges that John Crutchley was facing was kidnapping, and that's a federal offense. One of the FBI agents who was interested in the case was Robert Ressler of the Behavioral Science Unit, the man who coined the term serial murder.
Thought that sounded familiar.
Fun fact. In investigating the behavioral patterns of John Crutchley, Robert Ressler came to the opinion that it is very possible that Crutchley was already a serial killer and that he was just very good at getting away with it.
I hate that.
Looking back at his travels, investigators were able to notice patterns in the places that John went. When he lived in Pennsylvania during his younger years, multiple women in the area had gone missing and some even found deceased. the same thing happened in Virginia when he lived there. He hung around people with, kind of like, who lived risky lifestyles. So when they did die, they were just like, oh, well, this person was hanging around the wrong crowd, or this person was on drugs, or this or that, sex
Always
workers,
their fault. Yeah.
drug addicts. Yeah.
Less dead. It's their fault.
Right. So in one instance in Virginia, John Crutchley was actually literally the last one to see a woman alive before she was found dead. Deborah Fitzjohn, who went by Dee, was a 25-year-old Texaco facility employee living in Virginia at the same time as John Crutchley. According to some reports, the two were just acquaintances, and according to others, they had been dating or at least hooking up for a short time. Dee had been married before to another man, but they had separated 5 years before her disappearance, and she was getting along well on her own, doing good for herself. She was adopted and raised by her grandmother and was living on her grandmother's property in a little house around the corner. On January 27th, 1978, Dee had dinner at her grandmother's house and then went back to her own building to freshen up and prepare for her night. She was last seen by her grandmother at 8:30 p.m. when she waved to her grandmother through the window as she drove away from the property to go out for the night. The next day, Dee's vehicle was found at a bar with no signs of a struggle and no sign of Dee. Her remains wouldn't be found until months later in October of that year, and they were so badly decomposed that a cause of death could not be determined. It was considered a suspicious death, though, due to her car being so much further away than her body and no signs of a struggle. Dee's grandmother hired a private investigator back when she was just a missing person, holding on to hope that her granddaughter was still alive somewhere. Talking to Dee's coworkers, Talking to Dee's coworkers, the PI was led to a recent acquaintance of Dee named John Crutchley. Both the PI and Dee's grandmother spoke with John. They believed him to be a nice and honest-seeming guy. He told them that Dee had come over to his place that night to hang out, admitting he was the last person to see her alive, but that he was so exhausted. I know. Why would you just...
bold move, sir.
He told them that he was so exhausted from work that he fell asleep early while they were watching TV and didn't even end up going out with her. And he said that when he woke up, Dee had already left. John also told the PI and the grandmother that Dee was having troubles with some boy that had been bothering her. Ugh. There was even a letter written by Crutchley to Dee that was sent out 1 week after she had disappeared, where John apologized for falling asleep on her and asked her about how things were going with that boy that had been bothering her. So, he is covering up his tracks on all ends if he did this.
Yeah. Ugh.
Nothing ever came from the investigation into the disappearance and suspicious death of Deborah Fitzjohn, and her case still sits unsolved. The reason that police in Florida, with the help of the FBI, were looking into Deborah's death being related to John is because one of his 72 index cards had all of her information on it. Her name, her address, her home and work number, her zodiac sign, her likes and dislikes, what she aspires to be.
So, it's full stalker behavior.
So creepy. Yeah, he keeps, detailed tabs on these women. I actually have a picture of her card. And it says Dr. Fitzjohn, and then it shows her actual address. There's some stuff that's written in. Most of it's typed on a typewriter, but some of it's written in and I can't understand it. It says she's a Gemini. Me? Yeah.
I'm just curious, out of a pure creep factor. Ugh. Yeah.
So it has her name and her address. This I think says Zodiac Gemini. I don't know what this says right here. She likes travel, astrology, art, camping, plays piano and guitar. 5'3", 130 pounds. Office administrator, met at work, lunch, 19 January of 1978. Strong on women's position in workforce. Art major, working for associate's degree in business administration, teaching certificate, does not smoke cigarettes, very creative. This is the stuff that I can't understand that I assume is sexual preferences. But, like, this girl is on top of her shit. Like, she had divorced a man 5 years ago, and here she is, strong on women's position in the workforce. She's working for her associates in business administration. Like, she is amazing.
Doing the damn thing, yeah.
Yes. This is great. And
you
then
kind of scared the shit out of me when you said
everything.
5'3" and 130 pounds and an office administrator, and I was like, well, I do office administration, but I'm not 5'3". I don't want to give myself that much credit. No, she is doing the damn thing. That's really creepy. Why would he type some things and then write like little creepy notes otherwise?
There were 72 of these.
Ew.
This is just one of them.
I hate it.
Yeah. 72 different women. Ridiculous.
I hope I didn't disappoint you with my PG stories.
Oh, no, you're good. Mine is awful, and it's not even done.
You could end it here, and it would still be horrific.
Yeah. There were also a few cases of missing women and found remains in Brevard County, Florida, where John Crutchley was currently living. While John was awaiting trial for the charges that the teen was pushing forward with, investigators in the FBI were trying hard to link him to these disappearances and deaths so that they could fit him for more charges and ensure that he wouldn't ever be released from prison. But they could never find enough evidence to make anything stick. Sometime shortly before the trial, John Crutchley decided to plead guilty to kidnapping and to rape in order to get a plea deal. In his plea deal, he was sentenced to 25 to life, with the possibility of parole much earlier. And of course, he got paroled. After only 11 years of prison, John Crutchley was released on good behavior.
No, stop releasing people for good behavior. Have we learned nothing?
He was released under the condition... Oh, I lost my spot. Under the condition that he would be on parole and check in with a parole board for 50 years. He was literally like 15 at this point, so basically for the rest of his life, he would be on parole.
That sucks.
Being on parole proved to be difficult, however. He would have to be living under the supervision of someone who can I can't talk. Who could confirm where he was staying and things like that. He originally was going to move to West Virginia, where his mother lived, but they literally said no. West Virginia did not want him.
Can you blame
And there
them?
There were 2 other counties that he requested to be moved to also, and they also said, no, we don't want you. So eventually he was transferred to a probation and restitution center where he would live among other parolees while going to counseling and working to pay off his legal fees and room and board. However, this didn't last long either. Literally the next day after he was transferred to this probation and restitution center, which I'm sure most people know as a halfway house. However, I don't think halfway house is the way it's supposed to be said anymore.
No. It was offensive then. It's offensive now, too.
Literally the next day after he was transferred, he smoked weed. And then he was drug tested. And obviously they knew he had smoked weed. Mm-hmm. So John said that he smoked to relieve his stress and anxieties about the investigators in the FBI trying to look into his past and pin more crimes on him. However, in Florida at the time, they have a 3-strike law for ex-prison inmates. The kidnapping was strike 1, and the rape was strike 2. Even though they were both the same time, they were 2 different charges. So this drug charge was strike 3. and John Crutchley was sent back to prison for life without parole.
Bye!
For smoking weed. Ironic that he was nervous investigators were going to send him back to prison, so he smoked weed to relieve the stress, and then it got him sent back to prison.
Yeah. And I love how out of those 3 charges, it's like kidnapping, you're an asshole, rape, you're an asshole, weed, you're a human. So.
Right. But now, you're going to prison for life, buddy.
Bye!
3 strikes. I'm not mad at it. In this one case.
No, yeah.
In most cases, it's ridiculous.
It's laughable that that's what put you in prison for life.
Yes. So this is just about where the story ends, sort of. Because in 2002, John Brennan Crutchley died of suffocation in his jail cell. He was found with a plastic bag over his head. It was reported that his death was not a suicide, but an accident due to an autoerotic asphyxiation. So he did it on purpose. He wanted to suffocate himself to get off, and he accidentally killed himself instead of getting off. I don't know, maybe he died coming. You know what I mean? That might be a good death. He didn't deserve that. He was not good enough.
That.
Yeah,
he
was not good enough for that.
Orgasm situation.
Yeah. What a dick. I think it's strange that he even got a plastic bag into prison, but I guess there have been weirder things smuggled into prison, so...
Well, I was gonna say, how does that even end up in his, possession?
It was probably in his ass, like most things in people in prison. One more strange addition to the story that I did not quite know where to place this information is that according to some sources, when John Crutchley was being investigated, he was actually found to have in his possession a bunch of classified military... Sorry.
It's okay, I'm stirring my straw over here and the little chunks of Jell-O look like chunks of blood.
Like little clots. Ew, gross.
I still have to finish this.
Sorry. A bunch of classified military weaponry information. He was a ridiculously smart guy, and the company he worked for had contracts with NASA and other unnamed organizations, so it's not too surprising that he had access to this stuff, but actually having it is kind of a big deal. This led there to be a few conspiracies about the guy, maybe having been a spy or having some sort of training that made him so able to get away with all these murders that he did, allegedly. Also, maybe his death wasn't an accident. Maybe someone was paid off on the inside to keep him silent. No one really knows for sure, but there's definitely not any proof that he was a spy or a military-trained person or that he was murdered. Sadly, in that same respect, there is also no evidence that he was a murderer. And none of the unsolved deaths and disappearances that police suspected him of were ever looked into in relation to him again. He was already in prison for life, and then he was dead, so there's no need to, in their opinion. All of these missing and murdered women's cases, if he's responsible for them, will just be considered unsolved forever. And I'm sorry, I just ended this in a bummer. Yeah.
I hate that.
It's the fucking worst.
If they're hopeful they're going to catch the Atlas vampire, why can't they be hopeful that they're... Well, I guess because he's dead, so there's, limited.
Yeah, but also those families want closure, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's awful.
I hate it. That's what you meant by a bummer. I was like, how is she going to end this? It's such a bummer. That's a bummer.
I'm sorry. It is a bummer. I mean, even when they were looking into it, they couldn't find any evidence in the first place, so I guess it's not likely they're going to find new evidence now, but also, you can at least check.
You can at least try. Yeah, saying that makes me feel like they're not even, trying anymore.
None of these women's family are ever going to have closure now.
That's so heartbreaking. That is wild, though. That was a good case.
Yeah. It's
I wish
John
we had
Crutchley.
more
He
answers,
sucks.
which sucks. Sorry, guys. We're just leaving you with no answers all around the last couple weeks.
Yeah, vampires are not easy to have
you guys
definitive
voted for this.
answers on. Exactly.
You guys voted for this.
You did this to yourself.
You asked for it. So we simply
You did this
provided.
to us.
Yeah, thanks.
I didn't have fun researching this, okay? It was sad.
I didn't have fun researching, but I did have fun researching in the sense that there's so many interesting cases that I was like, I feel like I have too much to pick from.
I feel like they were all depressing.
So
many senseless
it was also
deaths.
hard to find a few that were not like what really well known.
Oh my gosh, before I forget, I wanted to show you one of the creepiest things about this guy is his before and after pictures. It actually makes him look like a vampire.
Ooh.
It's
okay.
disturbing.
Ooh.
Yeah. This is what he looked like back when he was drinking blood all the time.
Okay. I don't
This
like
is
where
what he
you're
looked
going
like
with this.
after a couple years of prison.
Ugh! Jesus Christ. Looks like a
Yeah.
skeleton.
He looks like he needs to be drinking some blood.
Right? Sir.
He looks like in Vampire Diaries when they don't drink blood for a long time and they start to shrivel up.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want him looking at me anymore. Go away.
Yikes. Guys, we would not recommend drinking blood, but you do you if it doesn't hurt other people? Question mark.
Yeah.
If it's consensual and it doesn't hurt anybody else, go buck wild.
Or yourself. Don't hurt yourself either.
Yeah, exactly. And don't tell us about it.
Yeah, I don't want to know.
Yeah, we don't need that. But we love all of you, and we appreciate you listening and voting for our special topics.
Yeah,
If you
thanks for
have-
this.
Sierra's still butthurt.
I
It gave us
am.
an
This is
gave us
not
an
cool.
excuse to get in the spooky mood, and she made fun sangria, so that's a takeaway.
Yeah.
Well, the sangria is really good, though, so would recommend, guys. What would we rate this one, Sierra, since we are rating our sangrias now?
It's a little too sweet for me.
Agreed.
I'd have to say,
I
like,
gave last week's a 9.5, so.
this is like a 6 or a 7. Maybe 6.
Okay, I'm leaning at a 7. A 7 for this one. Not bad.
You have the real lime juice. I have that sweetened stuff.
It's true, but I also put Jell-O powder inside my thank you guys so much for listening. If you have a suggestion for our next special topic in a few categories from now, please let us know. Previous suggestions have been bee crimes, Minnesota crimes, this one.
Sleepwalking.
Sleepwalking, resurrection. Like, let us know. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know something fun that you want to discover. And, yeah, we'll see you guys next week. But, what day is it today, Sierra?
So today is October 3rd, and I'm sorry, but just more bummer information. On this day in 1849, the great American author Edgar Allan Poe
Get the fuck
was
out
found in a gutter in Baltimore, Maryland, under mysterious circumstances.
Oh. Under
Poor Poe.
for unsolved episode, I almost did that case.
I fucking love Edgar Allan Poe.
Then I thought you were gonna be mad at me if I did the Edgar Allan Poe mysterious death.
I might. Look at this. I have like all of his poems in this one book. Like I got the collection.
My neighbor
one.
next door, she has that
Fucking love
tattoo, the raven on her arm. Remember to follow us on all of the socials. We're at Twisted and Uncorked everywhere except for Twitter, where we're Twisted_pod. We've got lots of bonus content on our Patreon if you want to sign up for as little as $1 per month, and you can unlock monthly episodes that way too. And don't forget to leave a rating and review, because it's not our birthday month anymore, but we would really appreciate it, and we love you guys. It helps other people find us, and makes us recognizable in all of the charts, and we appreciate. So
we're trying to find fun things to do. On a happy note, let's end this happy. We're trying to find fun things to do for Halloween. So if you have any ideas, send them to us. What should we do for a Halloween special, for a Halloween episode, Halloween extra?
Anything
what do you think?
You want us to do? We have ideas,
Yeah.
but we want to know what you guys want to hear. Otherwise, we'll just do what we want. And yes, we will see you guys next week. Don't forget to leave a rating and review for this episode. We love you lots. Stay spooky, and in the meantime,
Keep it twisted.
Thank you for listening to Twisted and Uncorked Podcast. Remember, if you like the show, to go leave us a 5-star rating and review. We couldn't do it without you guys. Now stay tuned to hear about another cool podcast.
Hi, and thanks for checking out Drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm Cassidy.
And I'm Amanda, and this is a podcast dedicated to the mysterious,
Are you into conspiracy theories?
true crime,
Aliens?
the paranormal.
If so, you might be interested in our podcast, Drinking the Kool-Aid.
Find us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts.
Just remember to keep your front door locked
Your mind open,
and
keep drinking the Kool-Aid.
Do you believe